Greetings and the most heartfelt of salutations, everybody. Welcome to Collider Mailbag, the all mailbag show here on Collider Video, where all we do is take your mailbag questions. My name is John Campia. I am the senior producer over here at Collider Video, and I am so glad you decided to make this little show, a part of your Saturday. And it is the weekend, and I am super stoked right now. I am very excited. I am actually going to a concert tonight, and it's going to sound silly, but it is a concert I have looked forward to more than a lot of concerts I've been to in a long time. I'm going to the Greek Theater in Los Angeles here tonight to go see Weird Al Yankovic in concert. Now, laugh all you want, but I saw Weird Al in concert once about 9 or 10 years ago in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. And he played in a sold-out hockey arena there. And it was one of the best live shows I have ever seen. It might be my second favorite live concert, maybe third favorite live concert I have ever been to in my entire life. I just had that good of a time, and he's playing at the Greek Theater tonight. Looking forward to going to go see that. And hey, listen, guys, like I said, this is Mailbag, so we take your mailbag questions here. How do you get your questions on our shows? Well, it's simple. You can just email us at the address here, collidervideo@gmail.com. Send your questions on in. Keep them short. I mean, seriously, guys, sometimes I open up the emails and they're this paragraphs long. It's like, nah, that doesn't work. Keep them short. Send them on in. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll see your question here on Mailbag. Maybe you'll get lucky and you see your question on one of our Monday through Friday movie talk shows. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the first question today. And the first question today comes to us from Joseph Triana? Anyway, sorry, I'm butchering your name because I butcher names. That's what I do. All right. Anyway, the question is, hello, guys and gals. I love the show and watch every day. Well, thank you so much, Joseph. Recently, you took a question regarding the ever-shrinking special features content on Blu-rays and DVD. You made the case that this was directly linked to the decline in sales of said Blu-rays and DVDs, and this got me thinking. What do you think about having special edition digital downloads with special features tacked on to the files? I myself love watching the behind-the-scenes content and would gladly fork out a few extra bucks for a digital download if they were included. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Well, thanks a lot for the question, Joseph. And I should clarify first, I don't believe I've ever made the case that the reason DVDs and Blu-rays are declining in sales, the reason that that's happening is because of the lack of special features. I don't think that's the case. I just think it's the cycle of technology. Physical media is dying. Pretty soon, it was already years ago that a lot of the new computers I would buy wouldn't even have a CD-ROM on it anymore. Why? Because who needs a CD-ROM anymore? I remember when the first iMac came out. Remember that Blueberry iMac? When that first one came out, and a lot of PC guys, and I was still a PC guy at the time, and a lot of PC guys, including myself, go, it doesn't even have a floppy drive. It doesn't even have a floppy drive. Well, as it turns out, Apple knew the direction everything was going, and it didn't need a floppy drive because no one's going to be using floppy disks anymore. And the PC and Apple markets learned a long time ago, a lot of new PCs, a lot of new Macs, a lot of new computers, they don't need CD drives anymore because physical media is dying. And that's the reason you're seeing big declines in Blu-ray and DVD sales and things like that. They're certainly still out there, and it's not like it's about to go away tomorrow, but it's definitely on the decline, and they'll be gone soon enough. But that's kind of besides the point. Even before the massive decline in Blu-ray and DVD sales, you saw that trend where the studios just weren't putting an effort anymore into making special features. I love special features on my Blu-rays and DVDs. As a matter of fact, everybody knows that I don't like the Star Wars prequels at all. But I bought every single one of them. Why? Because very few movie pack, DVD and Blu-ray packages had as good of extra features on them as those movies had. And I eat up extra features. The Lord of the Rings trilogies did a great job with all their extra features and everything. I just find them really enjoyable to watch. But part of the thing is, it's an expense to produce that stuff. And I don't really think studios are all that interested in producing all that stuff. And secondly, and I think this is really unfortunate, unlike you, Joseph, and unlike me, you and I are together on this, but a lot of other people don't really appreciate the special features on DVDs as much as you and I do. And so eventually what you start seeing was fewer and fewer directors were even doing director's commentaries anymore. I love director's commentaries. I love hearing what they have to say, but, I don't represent most people. So you start to see those go away. It just became a thing. Now, on to your idea about what would I think about, like, finding ways for them to incorporate bonus features in the digital, whether it's the VOD streaming or VOD on demand through your cable service or downloads or whatever. I would love it. Personally, I would love it. But it's only going to matter, though, if the studios decide that it's worth it to build that value into their movies for us as consumers. And the moment they think it's worth it to them, and the moment they think it might generate more income for them, I think you're going to see them building those features as value adds for us as the consumers, but only if we as consumers demand it. So I'm trying to do my part on our various Collider video shows by talking about the issue. We want special features. We love special features. We love getting looks behind the camera. We love seeing the deleted scenes. We love hearing the directors or the visual effects supervisors or the cinematographer's point of view and talking about how they did them. I mean, I just eat that stuff up. And I think if studios did that, I think there would be an appreciation for it. So let's see how things start to transpire as this whole transition from the dying physical media to the purely streaming, on-demand kind of media starts to happen. Let's see what kind of direction these things take. Thanks a lot for the question. Let's move on to question number 2. And the next question today comes to us from Luke Robinson, who writes, "Hey guys, do you feel sometimes films that are based on a true story or events make the film even better because of this? Films like Rush, United 93, and The Theory of Everything are great films, but I appreciate them even more because they are based on real events. Do you feel the same, or is it just me? And if you do, what are your favorites? Thanks for all you do." Well, thanks a lot for the question, Luke. I don't know that movies that are based on true events are better movies because they're based on true events. I mean, a bad movie's a bad movie, whether it's based on a real life event or not. But that's not what I think you're really saying. What I think you're really saying is something that I would wholeheartedly agree with, which is when I'm watching a movie like Selma is a great example, or 12 Years a Slave, or United 93, or whatever, and you're seeing these things transpire, and then every once in a while you catch yourself going, this really happened. I mean, we just talked on Mailbag last weekend that, look, or was it on, we talked on Movie Talk about it, that movies are, even the movies that are based on true stories, are not meant to be documentaries. They're movies. Their first priority is to make a good movie, not to be historically accurate. And I still believe that wholeheartedly. But for the most part, the basic gist of most of these based on true story things, you hope are the real events. And I got to tell you, when it's movies like United 93, Selma, things like that, and you watch this, the upcoming Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie, The Wire, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later here. Or is it The Wire? Or is it called something else? Anyway, when you watch these movies, and when I'm watching these movies, every once in a while I catch myself and go, this really happened. Or this guy was a real guy. This guy wasn't just a figment of some screenwriter's imagination. This was a real guy who really did these things. And while I don't think that makes the movies better, I do find myself having a deeper appreciation for those movies when I see them. I mean, how can you not? I mean, you're watching United 93, and you know that that's a real story. You know, you no longer have that safety net in your psyche of this isn't real, this isn't real, this is just a story. Then you realize that that net comes down, that safety net in your psyche comes down, and you realize, no, this was real. The people on that plane, at least in the case of United 93, the people on that plane, while we don't know the exact words they said or whatever, this is what they experienced. And that brings a shocking heaviness to it. When you're seeing movies like Selma or others that do that, it really does deepen my appreciation for the story. Whether or not, though, they make the movies better movies, I'm not really sure. I don't think I'm prepared to say that. But I will say that for me personally, and I think like you, it does give me a deeper appreciation for the events and what's transpiring on screen. All right, thanks a lot for the question. Now we move on to question number 3. And the third question today comes to us from Adrian Muniz, who writes, "Hey Collider, so I finally got to watch Horrible Bosses 2. And even though it had okay reviews, I gotta say it surpassed the original for me, and I love the original. Yes, the villains weren't used to their full potential, yet they were. So what's the chance that we can see a Horrible Bosses 3 to close the story? Murder to kidnapping to heist?" Well, thanks a lot for the question, Adrian. I really liked the first Horrible Bosses movie. I liked it more than most people. I thought it was terrific. I thought it was really funny and charming. I liked the characters. And I thought I liked the lightheartedness of it. It was just a really cool, fun movie. The second film, I did not appreciate as much. It had some laughs. And I didn't think it was terrible, but I personally thought it was a big step down. The movie also made only not even half the amount of money that the first one made. The first one, I think, worldwide made over $210 million, $211 million worldwide. I think the second one made just over $100 million. So the trajectory was it just lost. It made so little money compared to the first one. It's just crazy. So just on that basis alone, I'd say that the chances for Horrible Bosses 3 are slim to none, because there's massive diminishing returns there. But even the cast, there's an interview, if you look it up, there's an interview with one of the stars of the films, Jason Bateman. And he talks rather disparagingly about Horrible Bosses 2. And they even directly asked him, why did you even do Horrible Bosses 2? And in this interview, once again, it's either in Entertainment Weekly or an E. Look it up online, you can find it. And Bateman basically directly says, this is not paraphrasing, why did we do the second one? Because it was an easy paycheck. We all got paid. Now, he goes on to say that we still had a conversation that the cast, we still had this conversation that we didn't just want to mail it in. We wanted to do a good movie. We wanted to make it something worthy of the audience coming to see. But he goes on to say that, some movies just don't need sequels. And this is the star of the film saying, we didn't need to do Horrible Bosses 2. It just didn't need to happen. So I think when you look at the attitude of the cast about the second film, they didn't even really feel they should have done it. With the financial realities from the business side of the Horrible Bosses franchise, the first one made this much money, the second one made this much money, made less than half of the original, then I think all the tea leaves kind of point to the notion that I think it's a slim to none proposition that we're going to see a Horrible Bosses 3. And like I said, I think there are people I think Dennis might even be somebody who thinks like you. I think Dennis might have even preferred the second one over the first one, but I think there's a lot of people that also kind of see it the same way that I see it, that I thought the second one was a step down in quality. People weren't enamored with it. So there you go. Thanks a lot for the question. Let's now move on to question number 4. And the fourth question today comes to us from Eighth Wonder of the World, who writes, I was recently looking up some information about the new Spielberg movie Bridge of Spies, when I noticed it said that it will be distributed in North America by Disney under Tombstone, yet by 20th Century Fox to the rest of the world. I was just wondering, what's the point of doing that? Well, thanks a lot for the question, Eighth Wonder, and it's a good question. It's a good question, because if you look on the Internet Movie Database, or you look around to see who's distributing a film, you'll often notice that movies will have a different distributor in North America as they will in Europe, or a different distributor in Europe than they will in Asia. And sometimes, quite often, different from country to country. One distributor may distribute it in Turkey, another distributor may distribute it in Greece, and so on and so forth. And I think a lot of people, naturally so, just make the assumption that, hey, if Warner Brothers is the distributor of the film, then that's who's distributing the film all over the world. And that often is not the case. So what's the point of that? Well, the point of that is, let's say I make a movie, which I did. Let's say I made a movie and I now want to sell the movie. I want to get a distributor to pick up the film. Well, I can go to a film market and say, and I have lots of things I can sell. I can sell the North American rights. I can sell the Russian rights. I can sell the European rights. I can sell it all. I can sell the worldwide global rights. And let's say that, for argument's sake, let's just say, I don't know, the Weinstein Company. Let's say the Weinsteins decide they want to pick up my movie, but they think it could have an audience in North America, but they don't see the value in distributing it in other countries around the world. They don't think my particular movie will play well or will sell in other places around the world. So then the Weinsteins come in and say, okay, we will pick up the distribution rights in North America to your movie. We'll pay you $1 million, or we'll pay you $50 million, we'll pay you $10, whatever. So the Weinsteins say they're going to pick up the distribution rights to my movie, but it's only going to be the North American rights. That's all they're interested in. Well, now I'm still at this film market. I've got movie distributors and movie buyers from all over the world. I can now start pitching my movie to them and say, now the North American rights are sold, but I still got all of Europe, all of Asia, all of Central America, everywhere else is available. And then, some distribution company that specializes in Chile or Central America as a whole may come along and say, we think we can do something with your movie in South America. Let us get the rights for Chile, Mexico, Brazil. Give us the rights for South America. Give us the rights to South America, and we will pick it up and we will pay you $250,000 for that. Okay, great. Now I sell them those rights. Now another company comes along and says, okay, you know what? We think your thing, you're Italian, Giovanni Campia, you're Italian. So we think you might have an audience in Italy. We don't think it'll play in London. We don't think it'll play well in Spain or anything, but we think it could be in Italy. So we'd be interested in picking up just the rights to Italian distribution. I'd be all right. So they pay me $50,000. So now I'm piecemealing out the distribution rights to my film because, one company may want it for North America, but not interested in the rest of the world, and so on and so forth. In the case of Bridge of Spies, you get into another type of scenario where it's being distributed by Disney North America, but Fox was actually one of the financiers of Bridge of Spies. Fox actually put up some of the money for them to make Bridge of Spies. And what probably happened in that case was, okay, the filmmakers, the production company is shopping around. They're trying to get financing for the film so they can make it. And Fox says, okay, yeah. Spielberg's attached to direct. That's awesome. You got Tom Hanks starring them together. That's great. All right, we'll put up $10 million for financing, or we'll put up $15 million, or however much Fox put up. But they'll go, but if we put up, say, $15 million, we also want you've already committed North American distribution to Disney. That's fine. We believe that because of Spielberg and because of Tom Hanks, there'll be a global appeal to this film. We want the rest of the world. Disney can keep North America. We want the rest of the world. And so we'll come on and help finance the film, but we want the rest of the world distribution rights in exchange. And that's probably what happened there. And that type of deal happens quite a bit all the time too, where you have multiple financing companies. One financing company might also be a distribution company, so they want some of the distribution rights in return, all that kind of stuff. The short answer, though, is that there can be a million different reasons why distribution rights get split up over multiple partners in multiple ways. But I think the most common are some distributors only want it for North America, and so you got to piecemeal that out around. Sometimes a financier will come on if they also get a piece of the distribution pie for themselves, even though you've got other distributors on board already, and then a bunch of other smaller kind of side deals that probably play a part. So that's kind of a very simple answer to a very complex situation, but it's a fantastic question. I hope I gave you at least a little bit more clarity and I didn't muddy the waters any more than normal. Thanks a lot for the question. All right, let's move on to the next one. And the next question today comes to us from Holger Lang, who writes, I wondered about something that seems to be a simple matter to everyone but me. Many actors, especially now with the MCU or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, are contractually obligated to appear in a certain number of movies. I understand that this does not mean they will appear, but my question, What happens if an actor is involved in a big project and during shooting it, Marvel tells him that he has to do a couple of scenes or even take a big role in the movie they're now shooting at the same time? Do the studios talk about schedules and try to work around them? Is the actor forced to resign one project if they demand him being available for certain times? Thanks, and keep on making my lunch breaks awesome. Well, thanks a lot for the question, and I guess I know when you watch the show. Yeah, see, here's the thing. We've talked a number of times, but just recently too, we talked about how when you hear that a certain actor signed a 6-film deal, a lot of people make the natural assumption, well, that means they're going to be in 6 films, that the studio plans on doing 6 films, and they're going to be, and it doesn't at all. All that means is that if you want to be in our Marvel Cinematic Universe, or if you want to be in our DC Cinematic Universe, or whatever, if you want to be in our Aliens films, or if you want to be in our Bourne movies, whatever, what will happen is the studio will want to make sure that they don't get their backs against the wall later and only sign you to one film. What they don't want to have happen is sign you to a 1-picture deal. The movie's a big hit, and now they want to do a sequel, but now you're playing hardball. It's like, yeah, I want triple the money I got for last time. And they don't want to pay you triple the money. So what'll happen is Marvel, DC, whatever, they will say to an actor, okay, we are interested in having you as Doctor Strange, or we're interested in having you as Captain America, or we're interested in having you as Thor, whatever, whichever character. But as a part of the deal, in you getting this role, you have to sign a 5-picture deal, or a 7-picture deal, or a 9-picture deal, or a 4-picture deal, whatever. And what that means, as we've explained before, is it does not mean that that actor is guaranteed to be in that many films. It just means that for that many films, if the studio calls on you, you have to come and appear in our movie that many times for a pre-agreed upon rate. And that just gives the studio some protection. And it's very smart on their part. I get it, and it gives them a big advantage. Why would actors sign it? Well, because they want to be in the biggest movies in the world right now. And that opens up a lot of other revenue, creating possibilities for them. So the question is, though, and it's a great question, what does that mean for an actor then? Let's say, I don't know, let's say Hugo Weaving, who played Red Skull, who signed a multi-film deal, who played Red Skull in the original Captain America movie. Let's say now he's like, okay, I'm going to go shoot this new Guillermo del Toro film. Okay. So Hugo Weaving goes and starts, he's in his first week of shooting a new Guillermo del Toro movie. And all of a sudden Marvel comes to him and says, actually, now we just decided we want Red Skull in the new, I don't know, in the new Thor movie, Ragnarok. We want Red Skull in Thor Ragnarok. And we start shooting next week. So leave your movie and come join us. So that's a very reasonable question that you're asking, but the answer to that is no. These contracts that these actors sign are not 1 page, and they're not 2 pages, and they're not 3 pages. They're probably 20, 30 to 100 pages long, these contracts. And within these contracts, their lawyers and their agents will make sure that every possible scenario and provision is covered. And that would include that, okay, I will sign for a 7-picture deal. But this is the only piece of paper I have here. So let's just pretend it's actually a big contract, okay? But in Section 5, subparagraph 3, you'll notice that it says that if you want me to come and appear in a certain movie, you have to give me at least 4 months notice. You have to give me 4 months notice. So I know that if a producer comes to me and wants me to sign on their film, I know, and well, at least for the next 4 months, Marvel hasn't told me they need me. So for the next 4 months, I know I'm open. So yes, I can commit to those films and I don't have to worry about being in conflict with Disney. And, remember too, these corporations are filled with people. These studios are filled with people. I'm sure scenarios happen where sometimes schedules start to conflict. The studios will then work together. They'll talk. They'll make sure, okay, let's figure out a way to make this work so everybody's happy. They'll work it out. But generally speaking, these contracts will have provisions in them to make sure that the studio we have you under contract for this movie, but there's a provision in the contract where the studio has to give them at least X amount of advance notice so that the actor doesn't just have to sit in their home in Los Angeles and turn down all other work just waiting to see if Marvel calls. No, they can, with confidence, go on and start working. And let's say I'm Hugo Weaving, and I know I've got at least 4 months, but let's say another studio comes to me and says, hey, we want to shoot something with you in 6 months from now. Well, then I just get my agent to call Disney and say, hey, I've got this offer on the table for a movie in 6 months. Are you going to need me in 6 months? And then the studio can say, yes, we are going to need you, or no, we're not going to need you. And then they can move on from there. So it's a lot of these things are already predetermined. They're already worked out in the schedules. There are provisions for all this stuff. And even when you get into sticky ground, ultimately they're people and they can sit down, talk about it, and work out a solution. So yes, it does tie the hands of the actors a little bit, but not all that much. Thanks a lot for the question. All right, let's move on to the next one. And the next one today comes to us from the World of S, who writes, hello, Collider crew. Love the show. I am very excited for The Walk. That's the name of the movie. I called it The Wire earlier. Anyway, The Walk. But I haven't seen a lot of marketing for it. Do you think the movie will do good, or will it be overshadowed by The Martian? Thanks, and keep up the great work. Yeah, The Walk is the name. I was calling it The Wire earlier for some reason. The Walk is the new movie coming out with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, based on the true story of the guy who walked on the tightrope between the Twin Towers. And just a couple years ago, there was a documentary based on that guy as well that won, I believe it won the Academy Award for Best Documentary, and that movie was called Man on Wire. And it's the same story. Only this one is Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing something of a French accent. Can I just say I hate his French accent in the trailers. Maybe once I see the movie, I'll get lost in it and then it'll be fine. But for some reason, his French accent is bugging me in the trailers. Maybe in the movie it'll be perfectly fine. But anyway, so the question is, how do we think this movie's going to do? Because I like the trailers very much. I think the movie looks really solid. But how's it going to do against The Martian? It's going to get creamed by The Martian. It's going to get creamed. As a matter of fact, I believe the film is only opening, it's not even opening on all that many screens. I can't remember the exact number, but it's going to get clobbered by The Martian. It's just, The Martian just has a lot more appeal. It's got a lot of buzz going for it right now. I'll be honest with you, right now I haven't heard any buzz regarding The Walk. Other than I think the trailers look good, and I think a lot of other people think the trailers look good as well. But I really haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. I personally don't know anybody that has seen the film yet. And so, and as on the opposite side of that, The Martian is getting lots of buzz. People are saying, I know a couple people who've seen the movie already. I'm actually going to be going to see it on Monday night finally. But I know a few people who've already seen it and they're all really like it. They all say it's really good. It's the first Ridley Scott movie that's really good in a long, long time. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to be the return to form for Ridley Scott, because I think he's had about 5 bad movies in a row. So I'm really looking forward to him returning to greatness. And I hope The Martian is that. But The Martian is also a very popular book that came out first. And then you got stars like Matt Damon in it, and a big superstar name like a Ridley Scott directing it. And it's about space and all. It's just got so much going for it. And yeah, I don't foresee things going well for The Walk. Now, that has nothing to do with how good the movie will be. I'm anticipating a very good movie out of The Walk. But if you're asking me the question, do I think it's going to do well, or do I think it's going to kind of get buried by The Martian? I kind of unfortunately think it's going to get buried by The Martian. Anyway, I hope I'm wrong. We will see. All right, let's move on to the second last question of the day. And this question comes to us from Andreas Ilopoulos, who writes, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I was wondering what your take on this is. All right, well, I'll do my best. Fox says that they are in negotiations with Marvel over the rights to the X-Men TV series, or Marvel's permission to do it. But I really don't see why Marvel would be willing to give up those rights to Fox when Fox is playing hardball, to say the least, over the Fantastic Four rights, and especially Silver Surfer and Galactus. Why would Marvel give Fox anything they want when Fox is doing the exact opposite to Marvel? Well, thanks a lot for the question. For those of you who don't know, Fox has stated, a couple of the execs from Fox have stated that they are negotiating with Marvel right now they have the film rights for the X-Men, but they don't have television rights. So they're in talks right now with Marvel to secure rights to do a X-Men television series. It would probably be like Excalibur or something like that. It wouldn't be Wolverine and Professor X. I don't think we'd see a crossover with whatever, but some kind of X universe on television. So they're negotiating with them. Now, you bring up a couple of things in your email that I want to point out. Fox isn't playing hardball with Marvel when it comes to Fantastic Four. They own the right. They have the rights. Fox has the rights. There's no hardball negotiating with them, and nobody should be expected to give up something that belongs to them, no matter how bad they're doing with it. Fox is doing a terrible job with the Fantastic Four universe, but it's theirs. It's not playing hardball to say, no, I refuse to just give up what's mine. That's not hardball. That's them just completely easily exercising their right. That's if I come to you and say, give me your car, just give it to me. Give me your car. Just hand it over to me. Just give it to me. You're not playing hardball by saying, no, I'm going to keep my car. Thank you very much. That's not playing hardball. And to be honest, Marvel isn't exactly knocking down doors trying to get Fantastic Four back. Marvel's doing quite well with what they got. Thank you very much. I mean, would Marvel be interested in having Fantastic Four back? I got to think they'd at least have some interest in having it back. But Marvel's not hurting. They got tons of characters and tons of movies on their schedule. They're just fine. They didn't need Spider-Man back, which is why Spider-Man still belongs to Sony. But they were able to work out a deal where they can have them in their universe. And I think the same is true of Fantastic Four. They know they don't need the Fantastic Four, especially in the shape that Fox has Fantastic Four in. Like right now, the average film goer does not think of great things when you mention Fantastic Four. So Fox has hurt the property, but it's their property. They can do whatever they want with it. It's not playing hardball. So let's dispel that right now. But I mean, yeah, there is some friction and some tension between Marvel and Fox, and absolutely that's there. So why would Marvel negotiate with Fox about giving Fox, permission and rights to do TV stuff with X-Men? The answer is because they aren't 12-year-olds. They're not 12-year-olds. They're not crossing their arms and stomping their feet and saying, "You're a stupid head." No, you're a stupid head. Yeah, do they have tension over issues? Are they having some disputes over issues? Yes and yes, but at the end of the day, they're grown-ups who wear grown-up pants and they want to do business. You see, while Fox doesn't have the rights to just do X-Men live action shows, Marvel can't do it either. They can make animated stuff, but they can't do live action shows. So from Marvel, the question for Marvel is an adult response, a business response to Fox asking me if I'm a Marvel executive, do I want to let you have the rights to do or have permission to do X-Men on television in live action? Then what I'm going to do is not think about, are we mad at each other right now? That doesn't enter the thoughts. Not for a professional, not for somebody who's thinking about what's good for business. What the Disney executive is thinking is, well, we're not making any money off live action TV rights right now. Let's find out if there's a way that you can get what you want and we can get what we want. And what we want is dollar bills. So maybe it's just a matter of them saying, okay, and working out what would be a fair licensing right and a fair licensing fee for you to be able to go ahead and make X-Men TV shows. Cool. You can do that if you pay us $75 million plus 3% of whatever ad revenue or whatever revenue those TV shows make. Then Fox looks at that and goes, we think that's kind of high. How about $50 million up front and 1% of revenue, or whatever the numbers. The numbers might be a lot bigger, the numbers might be a lot smaller. I'm not sure what it is. But the bottom line is Marvel is going to do business. If they can find a way to allow a third party to do something in which they themselves will then profit, then that's what you do. And that's why Marvel, even though there's some friction between the companies, that's why Marvel and Fox are having negotiations. It's just good business. Because otherwise, I'm a Marvel exec and I go, no, Fox, you can't have it. Maybe that's exactly how they speak in their corporate offices. You can't do a TV show. Maybe that's what the Marvel exec says. But you know what's going to happen then? Disney CEO, Disney chairman, Bob Iger, head of Disney Productions, Iger and Horn are going to come to that Marvel executive and say, hey, John. And I'll say, hey, guys. And they'll say, hey, listen, we heard a weird rumor. We heard that we had the opportunity to get a $100 million check plus 2% of revenues generated, which could equal the hundreds of millions of dollars down the road. We heard that we had the opportunity to get all that money and you wouldn't do it. You want to explain yourself? And pretty soon I'm not going to have a job. So, do these companies have disputes, whatever? Fox is not playing hardball Fantastic Four. It's their property. They shouldn't be expected to give it up if they don't want to. If Marvel has a way to make money and profit and benefit, and maybe it's not just money. Maybe part of the negotiation is, hey, how about you cut us a check for $125 million for the rights. You don't have to give us any split of the revenue, and you sign over the character rights to Galactus. Or who knows what they're negotiating, but they will do the deal because they're not 12-year-olds. They're adults. They will find a deal that is mutually beneficial to both of them. And if they can't find a deal that's mutually beneficial to both of them, then they'll just both walk away. But I think sooner or later, you're going to see a deal get done and both sides will be happy. So anyway, that's my non-insider opinion on that whole laydown. Who knows how accurate that is or how accurate it's not. All right, let's move on to the last question of the day. And this final question comes to us from Hannah Forseen, who writes, I loved the first Empire recap show. Well, thank you very much. I really liked it too. If the TV recap shows are popular, what are the chances you will expand into the horror genre, such as The Walking Dead, American Horror Story, etc.? Thanks for the great shows. Well, for those of you who don't know what Hannah's asking about, we just launched on Collider Video TV recaps. And now we're starting with 6 shows: The Blacklist, Empire, Arrow, Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Supergirl. We're starting with those 6. And we just had our first pre-season Empire show. And I thought it went great. I love our cast. We have a terrific cast with Courtney, Jemiah, Quinn, and Tamara. I think they just did a terrific job. I don't even watch Empire myself, but I loved watching these guys talk about Empire. They're a terrific cast. I'm very happy with them. So the question is, if everything goes well, will we expand into like horror? Well, first of all, yeah, if everything goes well, if we do these shows well, and if you guys watch them, and we feel like you guys have an appetite for these recap shows that we're doing, then we are definitely going to expand. And yes, I can guarantee you we will expand into the horror genre. Trust me when I tell you, American Horror Story was on our discussion list. We talked about American Horror Story, and we came close to doing it. I have a feeling you will see us, if we expand, you will see us do American Horror Story at some point. Walking Dead, though, is a question that a lot of people brought up to me. It's like, why not Walking Dead? And this is why we're not doing Walking Dead. Walking Dead, unlike a lot of other shows out there, or just about all the other shows out there, Walking Dead already has an official after show, The Talking Dead. And we just felt like we don't want to compete with that. Like, we know there are 20 Arrow after shows out there. We know that there are 20 Flash recaps out there, but we feel like we can be better than all of those. I'm not saying we are better, but I feel like we all feel over here we have the potential that we can be the best. We can be. Whether we will or not is up for you guys to decide and see if we can reach our potential or not, but we believe we have the potential to be the best in the space. But not everybody watches recap shows. Not everybody watches after shows. And we just feel like if somebody really wants to watch a recap show of The Walking Dead and the network itself has an official Walking Dead recap show called The Talking Dead, we felt like we didn't want to try to compete with that. Now, we may change our minds later. Like next season, if we've got 18 recap shows rocking and it's popular and you guys are watching it, then at that point we may say, you know what? We think we can go up against the official recap show, The Talking Dead. We feel like we can go against it and still do well. Then we'll try it. But coming out of the gate, just starting out, we thought that would have been really presumptuous of us to try that. And so we just shied away from it for now. And so we'll see if the after shows work, if these TV recaps we do work and you guys watch them and they're popular, we'll try expanding. And if they are really popular, then maybe we will go where angels fear to tread and we'll try going against like the network's own official recap show. So it's something we'll certainly talk about, but we have to see if we are capable of getting some results first. All right, folks, that's the last question of the day. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, listen, for the next little while, I'm going to be plugging this. Ignore me while I plug, but I'm going to plug. You guys know, a bunch of you know at any rate, my new novel called The Pride is coming out in December, and I'm very excited about it. Let me bring up the graphic of The Pride here. I love that. This is just concept art right now, but I'm digging that art a lot. So anyway, my new novel, The Pride, is coming out here fairly soon. It's coming out in December, and I do have a Kickstarter campaign going for it. So if you want to support the project and if you want to reserve your copy of the novel early, just go to Kickstarter.com and search for The Pride. And you'll find my Kickstarter there, and you guys can donate to it and reserve your copy or reserve a personal Q&A. I did some really ridiculous levels on that thing. Like one level is like for $150, your reward is you get a copy, autographed copy of the book and all that kind of stuff and a few other things. But you also get me doing your own Q&A video where you send me 4 or 5 questions and I will do a video just for you, just answering your 4 or 5 questions. I will put it up on my personal YouTube channel. I had this one where like for $500, this one was crazy. I did one for $500. You get all the other rewards, plus you and 4 friends get a 30-minute Google Hangout chat with me. And then I did this one totally ridiculous one that was for $4,000. I will fly to wherever you live in Canada or the US. I'm not going overseas, but in Canada or the US, I will fly to wherever you are and hand deliver 5 autographed copies and take you out to lunch. And somebody actually signed up for that, which is awesome. I was really excited. But if any of that interests you, just go to my Kickstarter and search for The Pride, and you can sign up there, which is great. Don't forget, guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keeping you up to date on all of our movie shows, whether it's Movie Talk, Mailbag, Jedi Council, Heroes, and now, of course, all of our TV recap shows as well. You got to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And make sure, if you haven't already, bookmark Collider.com, simply the best entertainment website on the web. Steve Frosty Weintraub and his crack team of writers over on that side doing a terrific job keeping you up to date. Make sure you bookmark Collider.com. Well, that'll do it for me, folks, for this installment. Once again, send in your questions to us for Movie Talk this week or for next week's mailbag. Send in your questions. See if you can get yours on to collidervideo@gmail.com. And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter simply @JohnCampia. Thanks a lot for everything, guys. My name's John Campia for Collider Video, and until next time, bye-bye.